This challenge is partly about chasing nostalgia. It was kind of odd to chase an old video game that was set in an era that I never experienced. Sure, it's a heavily parodied version of the 80s, but there's parts of the subculture that rubbed off. The fashion, the movie influences, and of course the unforgettable synth and gated reverb drenched soundtrack. Vice City was released a year after 3, and whilst 3 was a big deal at the time, Vice City ultimately trounced it by flouncing motorbikes, aircraft, boats, neon nightclubs, purchasable businesses, and a star-studded voice cast that included Ray Liotta, Burt Reynolds, Gary Busey, and Danny Dyer.
We ain't ordered any pizzas, alright?
The meticulous details enhance the gameplay and feel too. So tyres would deflate when shot or punctured, it was now possible to bail from a vehicle to evade being engulfed in an explosion, rain would beat up on the screen, as would Ribena when using the Juicinator 5000. And have I mentioned that soundtrack yet? The game still handles well, zipping in and out of traffic in a fast car pulling power slides is fun. Gunplay is a bit ropey to begin with, but improves when you obtain higher firepower. It functions as well as an old school 3D Grand Theft Auto does. But I have to take the rose-tinted spectacles off to give it a critical analysis, because it functions like an old-school 3D Grand Theft Auto. Vice City's release sits closer to the actual 80s than to the present day, so with that comes all the old game nuances. It is janky, and not in a charming way. NPCs are dumb and either get run or gunned down because they can't get into the car quickly enough, or escape a car's blast radius in time. The police are unpredictable, sometimes tapping a police car results in a pounce, sometimes slamming into a police car doesn't. They will kamikaze their way into your personal space, spearing you into a pirouette. The chaos is fun, but it can be a bit overwhelming when you get bombarded. I don't like how Tommy can't swim, I don't like losing all my gear every time he gets wasted, I don't like how the taxi's waiting to pick you up to take you back to the mission as if to say, I can't trust you to drive there, you might end up in the sea again. I don't like how you can think outside the box and choose certain missions, but others penalise you for not following it to the letter. The pacing, difficulty curve and mission structure is needlessly all over the place, especially towards the end when you have to complete certain asset missions. It slowed my playtime down to a crawl, as I was doing essentially busybody taxi work or running laps around the city to collect money from the assets, just so I could buy another property. Thankfully, having the radio on made it more bearable, because, you know, the soundtrack. It is hard to overlook these issues, especially in the epitome of early sandbox open worlds, but that seems to be a lot of Rockstar's unforgiving nature. Maybe I take stuff like that for granted now, as every Grand Theft Auto release after that rectified its issues, or at least made them more tolerable. And you know what? I'm willing to let it slide, because it's Vice City. I routinely rank it in my top 5 favourite games, and for good reason. It may not have felt as dense as Liberty City before it, but Rockstar made Vice City feel vibrant and more lived in. The writing was tight too, a drug deal gone awry and the resulting fallout of Tommy Vercetti rising up the ranks towards Kingpin was captivating and held my attention throughout, whether it was starting riots, keeping a limo rigged up to a bomb above a certain speed, or yes, even blowing up a construction site with an RC helicopter. It's Grand Theft Auto whilst it was getting up to steam, and it's a fine balance between crime simulation and all-out absurdity, which Rockstar has become famous for. The bottom line is, it's a cool game. But the ultimate bottom line is that it's a cool game with a cool soundtrack.